Stampers, Kim from StampingImperfection.com. Welcome to my craft room. I decided that I would clean off my stamping shelves today and take care of the retiring products, and then of course, like any crafter, I got distracted by the things that I hadn't played with in a while. And one of the little stamps that is retiring is this Blended Bloom stamp. And I bought this when when Stampin' Up! Came out with their alcohol markers. And I use this to practice coloring with the alcohol markers. They don't have those anymore, so they're retiring this stamp. But I thought I would try some different techniques. And one of the things I want to do is I want to do some fussy cutting with this. So I'm going to emboss this. I'm going to stamp it with Versamark, and I'm going to stamp it 4 or 5 times with Versamark, and then I'm going to emboss it in white. And you'll notice that I'm using Night of Navy cardstock, and I'm going to use white embossing powder, and then I think I'm going to use some Pear Pizzazz on my card as well, because my current favorite color combination is pear and navy with a splash of white. So I decorated my porch cushions with some new fabric in those color combinations, and I quite like it, so I thought I would create a card out of those colors too. So I'm just going to pour this on, and then I'll tap it off, and I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss this with my heat tool. So I'll make sure all of these images get completely covered. And you notice that I forgot to use my embossing buddy, and it's making quite a mess here. But that's okay, it'll come out alright. So I'm going to just flick it from behind. Make sure I get most of it off. It'll have a little... I've got a little smudge here, but that's okay. I can make that the bottom layer of my card. Now I'm going to go ahead and heat set this with my heat tool, which you don't need to see, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got these all heat embossed, and for my next step, I'm going to take and just use my paper snips, and I'm just going to trim around the edges. And I'm going to do them in different layers. So I think I'm going to make each layer trim around successively smaller edges. So I'm just going around the edge of the heat embossing, and then for the next one I'll go in a layer. And I chose this one because this one had the most smudge inside, which I don't really mind, but if you mind that, you want to make sure you use that embossing buddy. So I'm going to keep doing this, and then I am going to stack them up and put them together and create the card. Now I've also done the center of one. I thought it would be kind of interesting maybe to do the center darker. I wish I had the navy embossing powder. I went ahead and used black. I considered silver also, so we'll see. I might leave it with the white layer in the center, and I might change it up and put the black in the center, although I think white with navy would have been really pretty. So I'm going to finish cutting these out, and then I'll be right back. So I've got everything all cut here. To assemble this now, I've cut out the 4 different navy blues, and I cut around different parts of it, and then I cut out the little center in the white and black, and now I'm just going to layer it. So I've got stamping dimensionals on the back of each thing here. So I'll just layer it, and the hardest part will be to figure out. Before I layer it, actually, one thing I do want to do is I want to take my bone folder, and I just want to, you can use your bone folder, you can use your paper piercer, or anything that you can roll this around. So I want to roll it up a little bit to give it a little bit more dimension. I'm kind of layering it over the top of the other one. I'm going to do the same thing with the next piece. It kind of roughs it up a little bit, and it just gives it a little dimension. It's a nice little touch. And I'll give this a little curl. Just a little curl around the edges. And attempt to line this up just like that. And then I've got the little center. Just wanted the center to pop out a little bit. I probably could have just left the white, but I've got this really dimensional flower now. And you can, now to build this card, I've got a piece of Whisper White cut 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. I've got a piece of Pear Pizzazz cut at 3 1/2, yes, 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then I've got a piece of Whisper White cut at 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. So I'm going to attach, first thing here, I'm going to attach the white to the Pear Pizzazz with some glue or snail, whatever you like to use. Now I've got this Pear Pizzazz cotton ribbon that I'm just going to tie, and I'm going to leave it free. I'm not like attaching it down. I'm just going to tie a little knot in it. Not going to try to do a fancy bow. Just like that. Now I'm going to attach this, and because I left my bow free, I can actually slide that down wherever I need to. So I can slide that down just like that. And I put 3 dimensionals on the back because now this is quite a flower sitting on the top here, and I'm just going to attach that on. Hopefully I've centered it well enough. There we go. It looks a little better. And now I can attach this to the card. You can move it toward the top if you want to. I sort of like to have an even amount of white space around the card, like that. Now I want a sentiment, and I picked from One Big Meaning. I picked A Little Thanks. I like that. And I'm going to use Night of Navy, and I think I'm going to stamp it directly onto the card. So I'm just going to stamp this on, getting it hopefully pretty straight. I like that touch of blue there. And one final little touch, rhinestones, and just add a couple of rhinestones. I like to add an odd number, so I'll add 2 down here. I'll add 2 down here and 1 here, and that's going to complete my card. And it's got a lot of dimension. Now, if I were sending this in the mail, I'm going to take just a regular piece of cardstock, cut it the same size as my card, put that on top, slide it in the envelope, and that will protect that a little bit so it won't get damaged by the machine when they stamp it through. So there you go. Quick and easy card with lots of dimension, using one of the stamp sets I haven't used in a while. I used it a lot when I first got it because I was playing around with the alcohol markers, but I really haven't used it for much besides playing with alcohol markers. But this actually, with a little bit of fussy cutting and some dimensionals, makes a very pretty card. So thanks very much for watching. Stop by my blog at stampingimperfection.com for more tips and ideas. And if you're looking for supplies and you want to get the Blended Bloom punch, or excuse me, the Blended Bloom flower stamp, or some of the other retiring materials, the retiring materials are available through May 31st or while supplies last at mystampingstore.com. Thanks for watching.